Greetings, my name is Terence Scardino, and the following is a detailed description for the person. Greetings, my name is Terence Scardino, and the following is a detailed description of the personality traits for Sagittarius, which is the same whether it's Western or Vedic astrology. When I think of Sagittarians, what comes to mind is a person with a positive outlook on life, full of energy, athletic ability, adventurousness, and a love of traveling and exploration. And in fact, Sagittarius has a lust for travel, and the further away and more exotic, the better. You are basically optimistic and continue to be so even when your hopes are dashed. You are the sign of honesty, integrity, and independence, with a passion for justice and the rights for others. Consequently, so many of you are involved with legal affairs and political activism. The key phrase associated with Sagittarius is "I perceive," referring to your intuitive abilities and your vision for a better world, and your longing to search the planet for greener pastures and the inner search for the meaning in life. The symbol associated with your sign is the Centaur, half man and half horse. The archer and the Centaur are the symbols of Sagittarius. The Centaur also held a bow and arrow, which is where the symbolism of the archer is derived. The arrow is always pointed upwards towards the heavens, like the gaze of those who have their heads in the clouds, being more concerned with a greater philosophical vision, another quality of Sagittarius. The Centaur was half horse and half man. The animal side of Sagittarius is a need for freedom and to have their intellectual desires fulfilled. The divine part of Sagittarius, the head of man, will use their rational minds to conquer and control this animal nature. In ancient myths, the Centaur was shot in their thigh, one of the body parts ruled by Sagittarius. But the Centaur was a god and could not die, so there was this eternal wound in their thigh. Many Sagittarians have some sort of an eternal wound, whether it's a wife, child, job, or obligation that they cannot escape. It's referred to as the pain in their side that never goes away, and many will have a physical scar, usually in the thigh area, that will always be there, symbolizing this eternal wound. Sagittarians are also called the archer. Another quality is their love of the great outdoors and nature, and you may hunt animal game, but only for the sport and never the kill. And your duality nature allows you to be comfortable in the wilds of nature or the civilized urban settings. And with your love of freedom and travel, you often seem as if you have one foot out the door, ready to bolt to ensure your freedom. Sagittarians have always been known as the lucky sign of the zodiac, whether in gambling or just everyday life. Your luck probably stems from your optimism and belief in the future that creates your lucky nature. Sagittarians are passionate, sincere, straightforward in love. If your marriages are successful, you will be a faithful spouse, but your innate restlessness will inspire you to travel to find your own private space, both mentally and physically. Emotionally, Sagittarians needs lots of freedom, space, and intellectual stimulation. However, some Sagittarians risk becoming amorous players, wasting their lives away in frivolous pursuits. And on the flip side, some of you can develop a moralizing religious fanaticism. But usually your nature of fairness and concern for the welfare of others keeps you mostly charming, friendly, easygoing, and honest, even if it's a little too honest at times. And even though you are usually very easygoing, you can be quite outspoken, direct, and to say exactly what will hurt your opponent most. On the other hand, you are very forgiving. There isn't a sport you wouldn't try, and because you intuitively feel the link between the body and mind, the man and horse, you regularly seek ways to strengthen both. And because you have so much energy, you will need some sort of regular exercise to keep from going completely mental. Sagittarians are great because you always tell the truth, but sometimes hearing the unforgiving truth can be tough on the rest of us. You sometimes have no sense of diplomacy, so if someone asks for your opinion, you will give it, which explains the cliche for Sagittarius, open mouth, insert foot. You love to initiate new projects, and you have an urge to understand concepts that are new to you. You think rapidly, often intuitively, and always original. You are strong-willed and good at organizing, a combination that gives you the ability to bring any project you undertake to a successful conclusion. You have both a deep and curious mind with foresight and good perception, and therefore you can be a great conversationalist. Creatively, the Sagittarius loves the broader brushstrokes of life, the large canvases, or using the entire world as a sounding board by publishing books, producing films, designing ambitious ad campaigns, or whatever medium that ignores the small details and goes for the big picture. Sagittarians want their messages also to be upbeat, enthusiastic, clear, and honest. Being that your sign rules the world of ideas, culture, exotic foreign locations, and spreading informations, you are natural-born teachers, journalists, lecturers, philosophers, lawyers, judges, crusaders, and religious leaders. Travel and exploration appeal to your restless souls, and if you weren't trained as an archaeologist, you could be tempted to work as a traveling salesman. Sagittarius rules the thighs, hips, and liver, and many have a scar in the thigh or hip area. Because Sagittarians can overindulge and drink enriched foods, the liver can be at risk, and other health concerns can be the lower back pain because of a tilted hip, or even later in life, a hip replacement. But these are only the general tendencies, and with a good diet and exercise, you can probably avoid all these health issues. As you are often the sportsman indulging in dangerous pursuits, you are prone to accidents. The taking of risks in many sports is a danger to the modern Sagittarian. Faithfulness is a concern for many Sagittarians. They can be quietly committed with the current lover, but the issue is how long can they sustain this commitment before they need to move on. Sagittarians are world travelers, the eternal student, a sign that's always searching for something else, a longing for greener pastures. This is a quest for the meaning of life, and since another human being represents imperfections and limitations, eventually the Sagittarius has to spread their wings and search for another adventure that will allow their souls to soar. The Peter Pan syndrome of never wanting to grow up and settle down is often seen in the Sagittarius, whose animal side is stronger than the sophisticated human side. And thank you for watching. And if you're on YouTube, you can click like or subscribe so you can see more of my videos. And follow me on Facebook or Twitter, where I post daily astrological messages. Thanks again.